All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the alaracanfieldshow, the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We are at a special time, not our regular time, but we are here. And I so appreciate you all taking the time to be with us. This is a service call, really, in service to consciousness and in service to the divine, in service to spirituality, etc. Right? So this is a service call. And we are going to be talking to a brand new guest who's never been on our show before. And so I'm excited to introduce him to you. His name is Naam Deo Ji, and we're going to be talking about the ninth chakra. We're going to be taking live caller questions as well. So if you do have a question, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat. And so some of what we're going to learn today with Naam Deo Ji is we're going to learn what the ninth chakra is. We're going to discover the benefits of opening and activating the ninth chakra. We're going to receive clarity on how to effectively work with the ninth chakra, and of course, so much more. In these conversations, we never know what we're actually going to discuss because it's based on energies, based on flows, based on whatever's coming up. So for those of you who may not know Naam Deo Ji, probably don't, but he is a yogi of the higher order, the one who is ushering the true human renaissance in the world. Naam Deo Ji is founding those building blocks and is an inspiration to thousands from India and around the world. Naam Deo Ji is imparting the universal knowledge of the real essence of yoga, and he's here to provide and help people with how they could find themselves and do what is needed. He helps every individual who comes up to him and unwinds their constructs and uplifts them. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Naam Deo Ji to the show today. And we're going to ask him a few questions. I'm going to start off by asking him a few questions. So Naam Deo Ji, if you want to just unmute yourself, that would be great. Welcome. So just really quickly, Naam Deo Ji, because it's your first time here on our show, being introduced to my community, my audience, can you just take a few minutes and just talk about what it means to be a yogi of the higher order, what it means to be a Himalayan yogi, and just a little bit about your journey, and then we'll get into the discussion about the ninth chakra. Is that okay? Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Yogi, the word yogi is very common today. And yogi of a higher order. I cannot and don't claim myself as a yogi as such. In fact, just now, to be honest with you, I felt there are 6 participants in this group are also yogi of a higher order. They have some higher connection. So if you are able to feel the energy, then you are just a bit subtle, a bit more subtler than the rest. But does that entitle you to call yourself a yogi? I'm not sure. So maybe this term comes from the people whom I meet, and there's no any other way to describe someone, in field of spirituality. So if you say you are a yogi, you are a mystic, or you know things much more deeply than the others. So these are just names actually, and what's there in the name anyway. So I'm just trying to improve myself as a person day by day, to be honest with you, and would like to become a better version of myself with each passing day, and that's the only thing.
Thank you. I love that. And you know, when I was first introduced to you, I'll be honest, when I was first introduced to you, I just absolutely loved how humble you are. But even with your humbleness, there's so much energy that's radiating out of you and so much wisdom that is radiating out of you that I was, you know, quite spellbound. Maybe is the right word. I was speechless, and everybody that knows me knows I'm not really speechless. I can talk about anything for a long time. So I was a bit speechless, but I want to just talk a little bit about the, you know, we're going to talk about the ninth chakra absolutely for in just a minute, but even before that, why do we even still, because there are some in our community who don't believe in the chakras anymore, that we need, you know, that we need to do any work with them anymore, that we're above all that. But I still feel like as long as we have our physical body, we're still working in this 3D reality. There's still work to do with our chakras, right? So can you just take us on a little bit of a short trip about the chakras, what, like, why they're still important for us to work with them, and especially then the ninth chakra and why that is important right now.
You see,
Is there something else I can help with?
I think my, what do you call the technological problem? Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing somebody else's voice. It's like, oh, what was that?
It's a Siri, actually Siri, I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
Need to turn it off. I'm sorry. Not so technologically savvy person, actually. It's very important to understand one thing, and that is the time, the kala, samay, what you call time. As I speak and as you hear, even the words that come out, that is being uttered right now, is time bound. When I say time bound, it means that it is connected with a flow of this universe. And the flow is the life itself. You are breathing in, aren't you? I'm also breathing in. So we cannot have this life without the prana shakti, the vital force, without which we cannot think of our existence. So the time is related with your prana. This is very important to understand. How the time is right now, how intense the time is at this point in time to you. This is the question that all of us should be asking. If mind is too much embroiled into making mental deduction of what is being said, then time is elusive to you. You are not able to feel the time and the intensity of time as it is. Because your senses are so much engrossed into the making the interpretation of whatever it is outside of you based on the very pattern that you have been following, the intensity of time cannot be felt with these scenarios. Because you are too much into your head, all of us are too much into our heads. So the moment there is a disappearance of these thoughts and these notions, which are usually in the wave of all different diverse a very eclectic emotional wavelength, then usually we are always in the trap of creating the illusionary self-belief about ourselves. And as long as we have this illusionary self-belief about ourselves based on the interpretation and connotation that we draw out of what it is there in the world and what we think is the best for us, usually it is a big time loop. It is a wave of illusion. And you may call yourself, I know this, I know that. So what happens here? Time here is dominant on you because time, the very essence of time, samaya, kala, the very essence of kala, the time, is not felt. The intensity of time requires your inclusion, requires your involvement, if I could say. The more evolved you are, the more the time would feel intense to you. So it's very important to understand this aspect of yoga. I don't know whether I could call it a yoga, but this is also a science of yoga, wherein you are able to feel the movement in absolute totality. In absolute totality. It's like in absolute inclusiveness. And the more inclusive everything there is that surrounds you, the more elevated you will become. It's like you have ascended yourself to a higher degree of consciousness. I don't know whether I could say consciousness, but just say your wavelength or your awareness has expanded. And now it is stretching the time so that there is no time for your personal identification of illusion that usually gets created because of the habitual pattern or the mindset that we have had and we have carried on till now. So it's absolutely great to be knowledgeable, right? I'm not denying this fact, because that if the knowledge is dominated by the time, then you just want to blabber it out, everything, right? You want to rattle it off, all the knowledge that you have acquired. But maybe it cannot give you the preciousness which this present moment, the intensity of time can give you. And that intensity of time comes from the totality of it, the totality of time. Once that happens, then there is a transformation, because your knowledge is a reference point, not the point of your operation. As long as what you know is the point of your operation, you will be what you have been, and there would not be any significant change. But whatever you have learned till now, if that could be only the reference point where you can just go back and kind of make some analogy, it could only be a reference point. It cannot dominate your life. As long as what you have learned dominates you, the time cannot be felt. So in this regard, it is not possible that we would be able to reach to that stage where we can dissolve everything, because most of us are just making sense of what we know and what is being said. And it cannot be explained into words. It cannot be elucidated or kind of propounded or explained in any other way than then the tool itself through which we can realize it. And tool is missing. There is no tool as such. The tool is meditation, sadhana, not meditation as such, but sadhana, dhyan. So that is the tool. So if you could just make yourself a bit subtler, where your perceptual reality is expanded, or if I could say enhanced to a greater degree, then you would be able to see things which does not actually come out so prominently through this naked eye or through the senses as we have always perceived things. So it is important that we do allow the knowledge of what we have learned, gathered, just to be there and take the higher and let the expanded awareness to take control of your knowledge. When that happens, then there is a gap that you create, and that gap is really joyful. That gap can give you the clear picture just the way it is. It is not made up. You can see through yourself. You do not need a guide or guru or anyone for that matter. But it is not a matter of some super consciousness. It is just a matter of subsiding your emotions, becoming more subtle, or enhancing your perceptual understanding even deeper. When that happens, then you are able to understand things much more clearly and deeply. I don't know whether I'm making sense to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. No, I totally agree. It is about the awareness, and it's about us being present and staying out of our head. So our stories that we create all the time based on what we've learned, like you said, it's about identification. But if we can get beyond the identification, get beyond the stories, get beyond what we've learned knowledge-wise, and be aware in the moment of what is occurring, what we're perceiving, that's going to give us more, not information per se, but give us more truth about our reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What we lack is clarity, actually.
Yes. That is what we all want, clarity, which is what we're mostly lacking. And we get stuck in the games that our mind plays, trying to understand, trying to get clarity, trying to figure out. Right. Beautiful. Thank you. So yeah, I understood most of it. That was good. I was following along. So now, how do the chakras, and especially the ninth chakra, play into all that? Because, you mentioned about dhyan, meditation, sadhana. We can't all do that all the time, right? But we have learned to, pay attention to our energy field, pay attention to our chakras a little bit, work with that. So we do know a little bit about the chakras, but how can we now use the chakras, work with the chakras to help us have more clarity, to help us be more connected to who we truly are, not our mind, not our emotions, not our thoughts, not our patterns? I have long-winded questions.
First of all, you will have to know what disturbs you. Which is that area where you feel the most vulnerable? Ask this question to yourself. Can you just note it down on a piece of paper right now? Any area, or think about it just like that.
I think we missed the question because you were cutting out a little bit. Your internet is not as good as it could be, so we missed the question.
Yeah. So what I'm asking you, the first of all, what you should know, you can ask this question to yourself. What disturbs you the most? What disturbs you the most? Which is that area where you feel the most vulnerable in your life? So all of you out there, if you could just understand one thing, that which is that spot that specific spot which actually kind of throws your life off the balance, you cannot just take it. And it could be just different from each one of us. And it usually is different from one another. So what you can deal with, I cannot. What I can deal with, you cannot. And that's how the world is so contrast and so unique. So some would like injustice. So that is something outside. What is it within you that you cannot take in? You just cannot accept it. There could be so many other issues. Now, the injustice part, how you feel there is an injustice. Because same level of understanding, if I could just term it a bit differently, then it could be an opportunity for so many people. Like in COVID situation, there were people who were left jobless, and there were many redundancies. Still, there are a number of redundancies in the corporate sector in the US and many other big economies across the globe. But there were people who made trillions of money as well. And those people who lost it said it was unjustified. So you see, what is injustice for me is opportunity for someone else. And entire spiraling effect of it is so confusing that we are just making a connotation based on not how things are, but how we are interpreting it, mostly how we are interpreting it. So you will see that, first of all, you need to be very comfortable with what disturbs you. It is only that thing that is required and needed at this point in time. The reason why I'm saying is because if you are not able to be calm with what freaks you out, you would not be able to overcome it. The only way you can overcome anything that works against you is to first be able to think through it, to embrace it rather. And that will reflect your inner consciousness, your state of being. So whatever outside feels just like something which is not in the right order, it seems very chaotic, it somehow is connected to our own reflection. And because of which, we all have very unique way of handling situation. Because we all feel so uniquely different with a particular mission or with a particular problem. So it's very important to understand here that if you're not able to come to terms with what disquiets you, what disturbs you, what feels like totally disconcerting to you, in that presence of discomfort, if you are able to keep yourself calm, then you may be able to overcome it. And gradually, slowly you will. And that's when you will be able to solve the problem rather than crying about it or going out on the street and shouting some slogans about it and going out with a candle and lighting a candle, something like that. So that is okay, but that doesn't solve the problem. What will solve the problem is overcoming the situation yourself first, and then you are able to gaze through the process as what best mechanism there could be to put across in order to resolve the matter. Otherwise, you will be just having a conversation with the people. The more you talk about it, the the worse it will get, you know. So if you talk about the problem much, it will just kind of amplify even further. So anything that kind of disturbs you, first of all, never talk loudly about it. Don't verbalize it that much. Don't make that as a topic of conversation, right? And how bad you feel about, you know, being buckled under the pressure of it. Basically, in dhyan, in sadhana, you are able to see through how you are operating, why these are coming up, how they are taking control of your lives in such a way. So once you are able to understand this, once you are able to see through it, it's lucid to you, then you are at a better position to come up with a solution also.
So it's really, it's about not reacting to what you're facing, what's coming up on the outside, even what's coming up on the inside, but it's about getting more clarity again about what is actually happening. Why am I being triggered? What's going on within me that's making me feel so uncomfortable or angry or upset, etc. And then working through that so that we can have more clarity and then take action on the outside, right?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. The reason why I'm saying is to your previous question, which is about the chakras, because these chakras are embedded with memories of the past life. And that's why it is needed in this life that we are so lucky to have a human body that we can resolve in this life. No any other species than the human being have this privilege as we do, being born as a human. So being born as a human is absolute privilege to have, right? A dog would not talk about chakras, right? Human beings like you and me will do. So the reason why it is being said, whatever disturbs you, and kind of, so maybe Muladhara chakra, let's say that, if there is an insecurity problem, right? Or there could be some problem in the Muladhara chakra, right? Which is not balanced. But basically, anything that disturbs you in life, whatever it is, and each one of us have different facets of this orientation, if I could say. They orient themselves differently when they are not able to face it. Like they have a specific symptom in their body, they start sweating, you know, the heart start pounding faster, there's a kind of knot in the stomach, they go to the washroom frequently, you know, there are different kind of symptoms. These symptoms actually come from your previous lives, what you call the DNA, which, you know, it is there entrapped within this body only. If you are able to resolve all these issues, then you will be actually growing out of them. But yeah, by evading it, by kind of talking negatively about it, and then, you know, it won't solve the problem. So it's very important to understand that these chakras actually represent the billions of life entrapped memories, because our body is a heap of memories of billions of life, and these are trapped within these chakras actually, and that's why they need resolving. It's like, you know, you see, it's all tangled up like that. It's very convoluted, if I could use the word, very convoluted, and they need this uncoiling. You see, these are like, it's a clog, it's totally it's jammed actually, so it needs to kind of de-traffic itself. There's sort of traffic, and these traffic of information which is so confusing, and that's why there is a pain in the body. You know, when something comes up and you cannot take it, maybe it has got to do with emotions, let's say, and emotions of, maybe there are so many different kind of emotions, but maybe if I hear about my sister something which is not so okay, maybe I don't have that problem. So, but if I hear about my mother, there is a problem now, So it depends on the how close you are to the person. And at times we have to pay off the bill. In this life, it's very important that we pay off our bill. It means that there is a karmic relationship in the world today. It's everywhere in the world, and it's very kind of visible. So, and these memories are trapped here within this body only. So these chakras are nothing but kind of extinct, which can make you behave in a certain way. So if anything comes up and you become vulnerable to it, then at the time shall take over, not your knowledge, not what you have learned from past. Knowledge could be a reference point, but that intensity of time, if you allow that to come in, you are creating a gap. So you're not falling the trap of your memorized version of your behavior. And if you do not behave that way, then you are making yourself a space for more clarity. But if you close the gap by shouting, by being reactionary, you are not resolving your chakras matters. So you can just, close your eyes. You can do dhyan, all right? And you can see some lights. You can you can just chant mantras according to that chakra. But it will certainly help you. But it will resolve all the matters, because you cannot sit, as you rightly said, that you cannot just allow all of your time to be consumed by sitting in a posture. So you have to do the work. So there is very important that you allow the expanded awareness to take control of yourself, because that's when you would be kind of cutting off your memorized cells memory, because you cannot your memorized cells memory cannot dictate your life. And that's when you make a conscious decision, and that's when you have the clarity. And the more you do it, the better you become. The more you do it, the better you become. The more you do it, the better you become. Absolutely.
I love that. It's so on point. I was having the same sort of discussion with my membership group earlier today. We were talking about past lives and things coming up in this lifetime, and I was talking a little bit about the same. I'm not going to say exactly the same, but a little bit. But what's important was, like, it doesn't really matter about what happened in our past lives. What matters is how we resolve that issue now, as things are coming up and we're resolving the issue now. So there's no, yes, we brought all these issues over from the past, but we have to resolve them now in this lifetime. And that's what's more important. And so and I was talking about awareness. Having awareness sometimes is the most important thing that we can do to have that transformation. It's not always about healing and clearing and all that stuff, but sometimes just being willing to be present and being aware in that moment, having that expanded awareness can create the greatest form of transformation. So I love that you just shared all that. It's like, oh yes, I was on point today. Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
What disturbs you? What disturbs you will transform you. What cannot challenge your authority will not change you as a person. What shakes you will actually improve you and make a better version of yourself. Otherwise it would not work. So whatever frightens you the most is that area that you must work upon, that all of us must work upon. And all of us are so uniquely wired in that way.
And it is about doing the work.
Empowerment. It is an absolute empowerment. I must tell you one thing here, that any residue of the past lives shall not be taken negatively at all. No way. It is an opportunity for you to transmute the energy into the best version of yourself, into making the best out of it. And you will see, and you, in fact, you'll be thankful for that. It will become a medium of self-evolution, the same thing which frightens you the most. Absolutely.
So, when you talk about being vulnerable, right? What are we vulnerable to? What frightens us? Where do we have doubts and fears, right? I think they're all kind of lumped into the same thing, right? Those are the places that when we look at them, when we work with them, that's when we're going to have our greatest transformation, our greatest growth and evolution. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah.
You see,
Awesome.
anyone, the big CEOs of the company, and I mean, for example, because we need to have tangible examples in the world. You see how vulnerable they are, mostly. It's just that they are more evolved as human being, if I could say, to make that decision, which is actually needed rather than they being influenced by their own theory of knowledge.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, staying out of our stories from the past, what we've, our knowledge from the past, but being willing to perceive the awareness in the moment of what's actually happening, and not reacting and not going into judgment. I think it's so powerful. So we talked a little bit. So just really quickly, when we have things like you're talking about insecurity, that's probably the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, and all of the other fears that we might have, doubts that we might have, are all coming from the different chakras as well, right? So the ninth chakra, though, is not in the physical body, right? So what's happening with the ninth chakra, and what do you call it? There's so many different interpretations these days.
The ninth chakra is the place where time stops. There is no time there. Because initially it was said, as long as it is time bound, you will have all the realizations, like, the realization of all kind of feelings. But you go beyond the realization, to be honest with you. And because, your body will realize certain things, then further going up, it will become more subtler. Then your consciousness will take a prominent role. The body will subside, kind of. And there is a zone where the time is totally gone, because it is the time which makes you go through the experiences of discomfort, like, dislike, pleasure, delight, elation, misery, whatever it is. It is time, right? And this time is entrapped in this body. So suppose, I'm just making it clear a bit here. So I come to United States from different country, maybe 10 years behind or ahead. Now I have a jet lag, what you call, you see. So now, because my body is clocked in clock, my body is registering time at all times. So you wake up in the morning, you actually wake up at that specific time, because your body is clock which registers time, right? So as long as this time rules your clock, and this clock is just a machine which just rotates. So as long as this time runs this clock, you see that you will have 1 o'clock. Maybe you don't feel good at 1 o'clock. Maybe you feel good at an evening, 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock will come after 5 hours and you will have good time. Then again, you have to go at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't have a good time. Suppose that. Or you have to get back home. Oh, my mom, I have to go back home and now have a spouse to deal with. I have this to deal with. I have a problem. So you see, as long as you have this time, this clock ticks in, right? So I will go to meet my friend at, let's say, 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Now say, oh my God, we'll have a lot of fun. We're going to a restaurant, whatever. So what I mean to say is, you see, this body is a clock. When this body goes beyond the clock, there is a bliss. Now, all the experiences that you have, because of this perceptual senses, as you hear, as you touch, the smell, and of course the visual effect, all is getting registered within this clock only. This is the biggest clock ever, right? So you wake up in the morning, you feel like, oh, having a coffee right now, because body demands it, because you are habituated to having coffee, or maybe juice or whatever. So there is a pattern this body follows. So all these chakras actually are time bound in nature. The ninth chakra is not time bound. It is beyond the time. That is the first thing that must be very clear. And the reason is it does not have prana. Because prana Shakti, the Vayu Shakti, and the time, they work together. And that's the reason you breathe in and there is a clock. So it's all very synchronized together. Suppose if I took a substance, any substance that I should not take, let's say that, or I lose my consciousness, right? Now I have lost the time zone, you see, because I have allowed the other things to take over. The neurons are not working. I'm not into my senses, you see. And how it is happening is because you are creating that gap. You are breathing in, but suppose that if you are in depression, you are drinking or whatever you're doing, just to create one thing, and that is to leave aside all the memories of the past, or not to think about certain things, or not to think about what has gone wrong, whatever it is, because it is connected with the memory of your entrapped cellular memory that you have within the body, which is playing out at all times, with the entrapped or encoded in these chakras. With the help of time, it is being instigated. So there is a time factor, and now you want to forget the time by consuming alcohol. So you are just kind of cutting it off, right? Because there is a time, and the body is clock, and you want to cut off that clock and time so that you can feel good. There's no memory. You are like, whatever, because you're drunk or you have consumed something, you see? So this body is a clock, and these cells within it, and this entrapped memory of the billions of life in a DNA is only working with the time, and the time has a friend called breath, because without which you would not realize anything, right? So, and it is needed to exist in this physical body. You can live without food for many days. You can live without water for 1 or 2 days, whatever, but you cannot live without this prana shakti without even for about 10 minutes or whatever, even for 5 minutes, not possible. So it is very important to understand this ninth chakra is the solution of all of these, because there is no time consciousness there. There is no mana there. There is no prana there either. And all the blemishes has been totally cleansed off. You have gone beyond them. And that's where you are able to realize your true self. I mean, the self-realization. So it is the ninth. There is saying in our Vani, in our gurus write in our Swarveda. I mean, Sadhguru Naam Deo Ji Maharaj, whom I follow. Ashta Kamala Makarandame Brahmava Manava Brahmarkar Vas Nawa Kamal Anup Hai Gandha Brahmara Mananas. Just the very fragrance of that Kamal, when it is blossomed, the very fragrance of it will kind of nash it will just cleanse off all that memory which are entrapped in time with with the body being registering, with the body registering every information. So once that happens, then you are able to kind of resolve all issues. You have grown out of all those chakras. Absolutely.
So it's beyond time and space, or beyond time. So how can we, being time bound that we are right now, how can we access the ninth chakra? How can we work with it?
Well, that could only happen with the blessing of some higher authority, because it cannot just be wished, and you cannot program yourself for it. You can actually reach to Ajna chakra if you try your best. What you can do, you can decalcify this area of yours through meditation and be able to see through many things clearly. You cannot go beyond this, actually. Now the Kundalini will be awakened, but that is also not ninth door. But yeah, it will happen only after opening it. So you can only work till here. And from here, maybe you can go up. So mostly the issues that we have is related with our Manipurak, let's say solar plexus, actually, basically. People have problem with Muladhara and Manipurak. And but the point here is that if a few areas of our body are decalcified in a way that because of the kind of food that we consume today, and it's the fast food world, you have so many soft drinks and beverages. So no one can help. So if that could be avoided, a lot could be improved. So basically, the ninth door, ninth chakra cannot be opened by just a wish of yours or anyone's wish. It will come about with the hand holding of a master, without which it cannot be opened. Because only the one who has reached there, seen it, been through it, will help you. No one can, no one will. And it will happen with the blessing of the master.
So how can we then get access to the blessing of the master? How can we receive that blessing?
The blessing is already there with all of you. The blessing is already there. So as you are ready, the master will appear before you. So I think one of the it's like, I think it's evident right now, as you are all here, now you are opening up the ways to get ahead.
So there's a question in the chat: how can one become worthy of being taught the way to access the ninth chakra by such a master? Similar question, different, slight nuance.
Well, I would like to tell you a story. May I just tell you a story?
Yes, please.
Okay. Because I really do not know how to explain this one. Okay, there was this emperor, a king, okay? And all the kings have a huge entourage, you see, like there are so many people, and they have so many queens also, right? So one day, a king decided to go to the path of self-realization and said, I want to merge with the Almighty. That's the purpose of my life. You see. So he declares that I'm going to renounce everything and I'm going towards the path of achieving super consciousness or merging myself with the super consciousness or Almighty, whatever. And he said, who will come along with me? Then all the, he's a king, right? So everyone follows his instruction. No one could have said no. So everyone followed him. I said, yeah, I will begin the journey from here. So what happens is they were in thousands and thousands, and there were queens also, and the emperor is marching ahead. And as they go ahead, as they start marching ahead towards finding that super consciousness, then a few of them saw a mountain made of silver. And they got attracted by that. So a few of them say, oh, what is this? Such a beautiful mountain made of silver. Oh my God. They got so fascinated by that, totally enamored. And they just took a different route. Then further ahead, then there was this emerald. Oh my God, so shining, so beautiful, glittering. They were dazzled by the glitter of that emerald and they went off toward that direction. Then further and further, then few of them, they had all kind of fascination towards all exotic drinks. They saw the stream and they could just go and feel the aroma. So the very sense of it, they drew me towards that stream and they enjoyed their life. Then it was just the number of people who were following the king was shrinking. Right. Then further ahead, there were different kingdoms. So few of the queens also of the king got attracted by that because there were so many things of what they have always desired. So few of them also left here and there. And now the king was left with very few. It has almost maybe shrunken or not even half, but less than a half, maybe just 20%. And then further ahead, they saw so many other things which were so enchanting. They saw a huge mountain of diamond. And in there were all kind of opulence you can think of. With their Garuna Devata, with the jets and everything, there were all kind of things. So most of them went off. To be honest with you, most of them went off. Now there was just one queen left with him to go along with him. Then she happened to see a rishi in sadhana, in dhyan. And then she also saw the opulence of all the wealth and with the rishi being there. And she said, what else do you want? We have a rishi here, elevated master, and with all the opulence of everything, what else do I want? Now I have dharma with me and the opulence of wealth at the same time. What else could I ask for? But the king said, no, this is not a self-realization. This is just a system, a very glorified one, dignified one, which you are getting attracted to, because she was so religious and so pious in nature, but she was also materialistic. I say, yeah, what else could you want? I mean, this is the best of all the worlds. You will have only self-realization, nothing. Then she also left at the end. And he was left just by himself. So you see, the journey is very far off. So it's very ahead. But I think it is very simple. I think if we are able to ground ourselves, it's just that if we are able to take control of this, this what we produce from this body, it's very important. The words that we produce, whatever we are able to kind of capture through our eyes, if all that is synchronized, if all that is kind of filtered through, then a lot could be transformed about us. Absolutely. Because there is no guarantee of ninth chakra. Ninth chakra is not a God realization, as maybe someone is asking, is not super consciousness. It is a step towards self-realization, because there cannot be any God realization without the self-realization. The self-realization is the first, and the second is the God realization. Mm-hmm. So here it is just that you go beyond your mind, because mind emanates from Akshara Mandal. Akshara Mandal is, there are 6 entities, the Param Purush Paramatma, and the Atma, and the Akshara Mandal, and one master, eternal master, who has always been, is, and will be. Just like the Akal Purush, the Param Purush Paramatma, he has been, will, and will be. I mean, they are eternal. Atma that we are, Jivatma, is also eternal. And Aksha Brahma is also eternal. And with the Kala and Prakriti, with that infusion, we have this world today. But they are under the zone of time. They are bound by the time. So once you go beyond the Kal and time, the 9th door opens. Then you are able to see who you actually are. You are not all these things that happen under the zone of Kal and Prakriti, what you call that Samaya. You are beyond that. So at that place, you are resolved of all the issues, and you are just by your own self. The self is realized. So that's the ninth chakra. But yeah, it cannot just be opened by any method of meditation. It's not possible. It is a matter of self-realization.
So is that possible for us in this day and time, in the busy lives that we live? Is it possible for us to reach self-realization?
Yeah, everything is possible. Everything is possible. Nothing is impossible in this world, of course. But I think we all are learning here. But most importantly, you see, one thing that is very clear, and that is how this time feels to you. Suppose that, ask this question to yourself. If you were given all of those things that feels very comfortable to you, what would you do right now? And you are given time, what would you do right now? Ask this question to yourself. This will make a lot of things clearer about you. Suppose if you were given everything, suppose that whatever troubles you is also fixed. Let's say that the issues that you have been facing and buckling under the pressure of fate all are fixed. Suppose that. Now, what would you do? And you have everything. Let's say that. What would you do right now? Would you actually go to Himalaya? Would you actually go and sit in meditation? What will you do? You will see, who knows, all those things that you have achieved will be a matter of inconsequential life, because you have assumed it, or you have consumed it so much that it would not hold any significance to you later. And it will be a very mundane thing. So no fixing of any problem could actually help you understand the 9th chakra, or anything for that matter, in terms of spirituality, because in a spiritual world, everything can be turned around. And nothing, there's nothing that is judgmental. Like I have seen people, and you'll be really like surprised, rather shocked, in fact. Their prajna, the Vishuddhi chakra is so great. I mean, amazing. But their Mooladhara chakra is so disturbed. So disturbed. You know why? Because they have to process some information from the divine. And if their base is so strong, maybe they may be lost in accumulating a lot of wealth or whatever it is, or, so they have to be they have to be more conducive to receive the cosmic information processed through. Maybe their Ajna chakra is a bit awakened at a particular point in time, at let's say 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, to receive that psychic information from the universe. And since they are the medium to so many other people's life, to transfer some information to them, which is needed to be heard by them, at times I've seen them, they're so highly elevated, but their Mooladhara chakra is so disturbed. And it happens on purpose, because maybe they cannot channel the information. And after some time, they become very capricious in nature. I have seen them. They become very they act very childishly, right? But once they are elevated in that zone, they are like, oh my God. So you cannot judge in this field. Like, I've seen so many kind of great elevated souls in so many different text, color and features, that it cannot just be a very definite. Yeah, but one thing is for sure, that channelizing any cosmic information allows one thing, and that is the interruption of time. Time is kind of interrupted by your consciousness, so that you can receive information from higher up. As long as you are into head, it doesn't work. Maybe Mooladhara chakra is so strong that you are much into head. That's why the people, I'm sure that who are able to make kind of, they are wealth oriented or whatever it is. Maybe the Mooladhara chakra is really strong, or could be strong, if they are self-made. And of course, there are people in the field of spirituality also. If they are connected to divine, of course, they cannot be left poor for sure, because you are into abundance, so you cannot be left alone. But the very dimension of it is so vast that it cannot be put down as something specific. I'm just letting you know what I have experienced in my life, and the number of people I have met along the way.
Beautiful, thank you. There's a question about the Sushumna, if it's important to experience self-realization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whoever asks this question knows about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about that, about the Sushumna as well? Just so that for those people who may not know what that means and why it's important.
You see, your mind has to be totally decalcified and purified before it reaches to the zone of unknown. And Sushumna does the same. Sushumna brings that clarity. Because after that, there is a Kundalini Jagran, but that happens later. But before that, Sushumna has to be, your mind has to reach to at that level where it has totally removed itself of all that facets of perceptual understanding. So Sushumna is Ingala, Pingala, and Sushumna. Okay, it's like you have heard of Prayagraj, Allahabad, where people go in huge numbers in India and take a holy dip into the Ganges, right?
That's the Kumbh Mela, right?
Kumbh Mela, right? They go to Kumbh Mela, right? Okay. Yeah. So what they do is they take a dip into the Ganges, what you call Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Now, the Ingala Pingala that you can see actually, but Saraswati you cannot see, right? So now it is not possible to dip your body into the water and cleanse off all the atrocities that you have committed. It's not possible. But yeah, it does influence you because of certain kind of planetary system. But basically, it signifies something else, which this gentleman is asking. That Sushmana, if that is awakened, then if you take dip into that flow, that happens at all times, but it is under the time consciousness. It's not beyond the time. All right. It is not ninth door. It is not Kundalini. But you are able to see through everything. Just that, what happens is, suppose that there is some problem in your automobile, you go there and you kind of try to fix it. You have a very dirty hand, kind of, there's a grease, there's oil. So what you do is you wash it off. So through taking that dip into that Susmana, if you reach up to there, you actually will kind of cleanse yourself, rub your hands of all the oil and greases, and your hands are clean, right? This is the only thing. So yeah, it is very important. Absolutely. So that's when you are able to get rid of all the connotation of your mind. Absolutely. Not get out of your mind. You are into the mind. Absolutely. But now you are using your mind. Mind is mana, is not using you. The cellular memory, the cell's memory are not ruling your life. You are conscious of it. Absolutely. It is the most fundamental awakening in a spiritual world. Absolutely. Agreed.
Awesome. Thank you. And then somebody's asking about human urine to decalcify the third eye, I think, and open up the 8th and 9th chakra. Is that possible? And if it does, what is the best procedure for that? Do you know about that? I don't know about that. Urotherapy?
They talk about the third chakra?
The third eye, the Ajna chakra?
Okay, Ajna, yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. You see here, this is not the actual thing. This is a manifestation of something else. Just right here, okay? Just put it here and now kind of roll this finger right back here, just before my ear, and pick it back here, right at the back. Have you seen a seed, a small seed? Maybe have you seen peas that we eat? Like it's very small, even smaller than that.
Yeah.
And that turns into different color. It is right here in the brain, actually, right here at the back.
Mm.
So what happens is this has to be classified. This one, of course, must be decalcified. But if that turns white in color, then this will be okay.
Mm.
And that requires a bit of pressing here, right here at the back. It's a kind of small gland, very, very small, very small. So when you do sadhana here, in fact, it is just right at the back of the head. That point, if that is illumined, of your master, if someone comes and like this, someone opens this here, then this will change actually the result of it, this one, because this cannot be seen, this can be seen maybe, or this can be felt. I mean, this can be actually tangible, but actually the change begins from here, right at the back of your head, but it is very much under the time zone.
Mm-hmm.
As far as urine part is concerned, I may not know. My apologies. I don't think so.
No worries. That's not anything I know about either. And then there's another question from Ganesh about, is it possible to explain a few experiences of the 9th chakra once it's activated, as it is an experience? Can you just share a little bit about what that looks like, feels like, how that is, that experience of having the ninth chakra activated? I mean, we understand it's activated by the master, not us. We can't do it ourselves, but what is it like when it is activated?
Well, you are, I mean, you are beyond all these physical matters. The body, which is made of the 5 elements, you are beyond all these 5 elements. And once you are beyond all the 5 elements, it means that you have transcended the physical reality of your body. You have transcended yourself you have transgressed all the limits of what this body could achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different metaphysics science. You get into the metaphysics and you dissolve into everything, into this universe. You can take control of everything. And that's when the Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahma, comes in. So it is a most vulnerable situation, actually. And that's when there is some eternal master which says to you, no, an iron piece of rod, if put into the burning fire, is not the fire itself. It starts glowing like a fire. The moment it is taken away from it, it comes back to its original form. So once you have transcended that limit of everything, you can actually become water because you have dissolved into water. You can become fire, but are you fire? You're none of these. You have transcended all that limit. And once you are gone beyond that, then you are always in communism, in communication with the Almighty. But you don't become the Almighty. There is still a way ahead, a longer ahead. And that's when you need an eternal master. I mean, the master always comes in different forms, in different times. But there is an internal master. You need the master's guidance.
And is God realization the grace of God and Guru? I would say yes, definitely. This comes from grace. It's not anything we do. Again, it's from the grace of the eternal master, grace of the Almighty, like you were saying.
Yeah, the grace is always there.
Yeah.
It is beyond the grace.
Beautiful. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you do, you can write your question in the chat or you can raise your hand. But is there, I was just checking to see if there's anything else that we wanted to talk about or discuss, Naam Deo Ji. I think we've covered the ninth chakra pretty well, right? Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us about the ninth chakra specifically? Or if there's no other questions, I might have missed some questions at the beginning, but if there's no other questions from anybody, do you have any other last words of wisdom for us?
We all are evolving and learning from one another. So I'm very grateful that I have so many people right here, and my pranam to all of them. I take a bow before you, my namaskaram to all of you. And we always take a bow before everyone. The reason is we bow before the light of consciousness that you are. And that's why we say namaste. And so my namaste to all of you. Thank you very much. If there could be anything I could be of any help to you in the future, it would be my pleasure to be of any help.
Beautiful, thank you. And I just want to say, if you would like to know more about Naam Deo Ji, you can go to his website, which is naamdeo.org, naamdeo.org. I will put the link to his website with the recording when it goes out on YouTube and in the email. I'll put that out so you have that link as well. And if you have any other questions, please just send them to me and we will get them answered for you, right? So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing, for being here, for all your questions, for your wonderful presence, and joining us at this time. And thank you, Naam Deo Ji, for being here with us today, sharing your wisdom, sharing your energy, sharing who you are with our community, and just being so willing to be vulnerable, being humble, just being the light that you are, and sharing this with the world. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I could just ask all of you to close your eyes for a few seconds and sing something for you. Right.
Yes, please.
Just close your eyes just for a few minutes, please. And that's how we'll end the session. शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ, हे गुरु बंदी छोड़, मोहि उबारो हे गुरु, यह सो बार निहोर। सच्चिदानंद स्वरूप है मम आराध्य भगवान, बार बार वंदन करूं, युक्ति भेदरत ज्ञान। प्रभु प्रसाद सद्गुरु दया, मना होय स्वाधीन। अन्न युक्ति कोई नहीं लगे, सद्गुरु चरण अधीन। मनव पवन को पलटि कर, सीधा कमलयनाम। स्वमंडल अनुभव करूं, काकुत चेतयनाम। विज्ञान दिव्य नवा कमल, रूपयनूप विकास। संत विवेकी जानहि, आदि अंकुर प्रकाश। अष्टक चक्र संपुट रहे, अर्ध मुखी तन माय। फूले सद्गुरु की कृपा, ऊर्ध्व गगन मुख जाय। निज अनुभव वर्णन करूं, दिया ज्ञान प्रभु सोय। तेरा है तुझ में रहे, करत समर्पण सोय। All prayers and love to all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Much love and blessings. Thank you, thank you, thank you.